Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I hope that you are all good. In today's video we are going to be doing a St. Patrick's Day acrylic nail design, so I really hope you all enjoy watching. Now for today's set of nails I am working on a practice hand, so I have already applied my tips and a thin clear acrylic base, and we're jumping straight in with the acrylic design. For today's acrylic system I am going to be using CJP, and we're starting off with this gorgeous green shade which is called Emerald City, which I thought worked perfect for a St. Patrick's Day design. Now I wanted to keep this set predominantly green and gold. I just kind of really liked how the two glitters I chose for this set of nails worked together, but do let me know in the comments below what you thought of this design. Now I absolutely love St. Patrick's Day because it really reminds me of my dad, who sadly isn't with us anymore, but it was his absolute favorite day of the year. He was obviously Irish, but it was, forget Christmas, forget birthdays, he absolutely loved St. Patrick's Day, and I have really fond memories. So whenever St. Patrick's Day comes up, it's a nice reminder of happy times with him. So I wanted to do some nails because it's just a fun time of year, and I think I always quite like actually having a theme to go by when I'm doing a set of nails. And sometimes when it's just seasonal designs like just spring nails, I struggle a little bit. So when you've got a specific theme like St. Patrick's Day, I personally find it a little bit easier to do a set of nails by that. But anyway, let's jump into the design. So on the first nail I'm going to be doing a ombre with kind of like a acrylic ombre with a glitter swirl. So I've placed down my Emerald City and blended it back into that thin clear base, and then we've moved on to the next nail, and on this nail I want to do a glitter fade. So I want to have a background color underneath my glitter so that I can get a more full cover look with the glitter without having to add lots of glitter. So I've come in with a small bead of that Emerald City, applied it up at the cuticle area and blended it down, but I have kept it nice and thin because we're going to be coming over the top with the glitter. This gorgeous glitter is a green Hexagon mix from Charlie's Nail Art. I do have a discount code for Charlie's, which I will leave in the description box below. Both the glitters we're using in today's set are from her website. I do absolutely love their glitters. There's so many pretty ones to choose from. So as you can see, this is just a classic Hexagon multi-cut glitter mix. So you could use this on its own without a colour underneath because it has got multi-cut pieces in there, but I do just find glitter a little bit easier to get full coverage with if you pop a colour underneath. Then to apply the glitter I've used a small bead of clear acrylic. I've taken that small bead of clear acrylic and dipped it into my raw glitter, and then we're placing it down on the nail. And as you can see, I'm keeping my brush quite wet so I'm able to move those hex pieces around, and I want it to be very full coverage up at that cuticle area, and then just gently fade down into a clear tip. And this is why I'm keeping my brush nice and wet, because if your brush is still full of monomer, you're easily able to move those glitter pieces around without them sticking to your brush. And I really loved this green glitter. It's super pretty for such a classic mix. So now that I've allowed the Emerald City on this first nail to set, I'm going to come back in and finish off my ombre. I do always like to leave that first colour to set because I feel like I get a smoother blend. So I'm starting off with a really small bead of CJP Obsession. And now this is quite a semi-transparent shade, so it's brilliant for any kind of ombres, and especially when you are ombreing over like darker colours like this green. But whenever I am doing an ombre where I'm blending over a more darker colour, I will come in with a really small bead at that blend area first of all, just to soften where that green ends. Then we're coming in with our cuticle bead and placing this down at that cuticle area, keeping it nice and thin because I want to come over the top of this now with glitter, so I don't want to end up with a too bulky nail. So I'm basically keeping this acrylic application as thin as possible. It did look a little bit too sheer for my liking, so I'm going to come in with another bead. It doesn't matter too much if I'm building up a little bit of my apex area, but I want to make sure that I'm going to have enough room to apply my glitter, encapsulate, and not end up with a super thick nail. So as you can see, I'm really blending this out, trying to feather it down the nail. Again, I'm looking at that ombre at all times and making sure I'm happy with how the Obsession is fading over the Emerald City. However, I didn't necessarily need a too perfect ombre because we are going to be coming over the top with some glitter. I just wasn't 100% happy with my Obsession application, so I did come in with another small bead, but because I've worked with small beads, I was able to add a little bit more without ending up with a bulky nail. Then for the glitter on this one, like I said, we've got another one from Charlie's Nail Art. This one is called Fool's Gold, and this to me is such a unique glitter mix because it has these really beautiful large gold squares in it, and I don't have any other glitters like this in my collection, but I felt as though the gold and the uniqueness to it worked really well for St. Patrick's Day. And as you can see, it kind of reflects green in some lights as well due to the holographic particles in here. So I've just again taken a small bead of clear acrylic, dipped into my raw glitter, and then we've just swooshed that glitter across that ombre, and then using my wet brush I've just nudged the little pieces around, and here you can see those two glitters work absolutely beautifully together. On to the ring finger, I want to do a marble ombre. So I'm taking CJP's Emerald City, Snow White and Clear, and I'm just placing wet beads of this acrylic down onto the tip of the nail and then bringing my brush to a point and marbling those colours together. So you see here, we're just going to place nice wet beads of acrylic down. We don't want to work with too dry beads because they're going to dry quite quickly and then you're going to struggle to marble them. And then I really like including clear into my marbles. So I take the clear and I'm using that to kind of marble through the colours that we've placed down, and we had only placed down two colours, which was the green and the white. I kind of wish I'd picked up a gold acrylic and added that into this marble, but I just didn't think when I was doing this set. And then because I want to do a marble ombre, I'm making sure that as we get closer to that nail bed area, I'm fading the marble back a little bit. I did just come in here a little bit with a little bit more acrylic because I wasn't 100% happy how the marble looked, so you could just come over the top again. And then, like I said, I'm flipping my brush round and blending everything back. I wanted a little bit more of the marble to come across this side of the nail so that there wasn't a clear patch there. And then again, we're going to blend that back. I really liked how this marble turned out. Now I am going to leave this marble to fully dry. Like I said, when I'm doing any kind of ombre, I like to leave that first layer to dry a little bit so that the next bead of acrylic blends nicely over the top. Again, we're taking a small bead of that Obsession and blending that over first of all, and because it is a little bit sheer, it's very easy to blend with. It's such a beautiful shade to work with, especially for any kind of ombre or glitter fade. Then I'm going to come in with a slightly larger bead, place this down at the cuticle area. You can see I'm using the very tip of my brush to tap it up into that cuticle area and then gently pulling it down. But I'm leaving a lot of the product where I placed it because you can see this way it builds up the colour a lot better than how I was working on the pointer finger. Then we're just gently blending the top of that bead of acrylic down. Very soft, feathery motions with your brush so that you're not pulling too much of the product down, because we don't want to cover up too much of that marble. We just want to create a nice blended effect. And I do really love anything that's an ombre or anything that has that faded effect, but I especially loved how this marble turned out, that I ended up not doing anything else to this now. I didn't want to add any glitter or anything. I left it as it was. Then we're going to come in at the little finger with that Obsession again, get a nice neat cuticle line and then feather this down the nail. And we're going to be doing a ombre fade again, but this time we're going to be using that Fool's Gold glitter because I wanted to bring in more of that. Again, here I was working with like two small wet beads of acrylic. CJP is a lot more of a drier system, and you can see that on the previous bead of acrylic I worked with on the ring finger, it was a lot easier to apply because I'd picked up the right ratio and right consistency bead. Here I just picked up two small wet beads. It just wasn't working how the powder was supposed to work. But once I was happy and I'd corrected that nail bed area, I swapped back to the glitter. So we've picked up a really small wet bead of clear acrylic. You want to keep your bead of acrylic quite small and quite wet so that it's easy to dip into that glitter and then nudge that glitter around into place. And then once I've got the bulk of that down onto the tip of the nail, just using my wet brush, I'm dipping into that raw glitter, picking up some pieces and placing it down just so we get a lot more full coverage, because I really wanted this glitter to pop in the set. This is what the nails looked like once we had applied all of our acrylic and glitters. So we're ready to come in and encapsulate. So I've run over the nail with my wet brush. This is just going to remove any dust or any little particles that might have landed on the nail. And having a quick wash over the brush with your monomer, I find it helps my acrylic flow into place. Of course, you do just want to be very careful that you're not getting any monomer or any of your products on the skin or cuticle area. Then I've placed my bead of clear acrylic down, and because we're wanting to get a clear tip now, I'm trying to not mess with my acrylic too much. You don't want to end up putting any bubbles or things like that in, because it's going to affect the clarity, especially on a glass tip nail. So when I'm doing any kind of glass tip nails, I kind of just let the acrylic flow into place and try not to mess about with it too much. So we focus that bead on encapsulating the tip and roughly halfway down the nail. Then I've come in with my cuticle and apex bead, so I'm nudging this up into place at that cuticle area and then leaving the bulk of it in that back third to build up that apex area, and just blending this down with gentle strokes. You can see that it's built up the height and the thickness there in that back third for the apex. However, I'm not sure if you can tell on camera, but it does get a little bit too thin in the middle and tip of the nail. So what I do decide to do is blend this out, make sure I'm happy with how even the application of this particular bead is, and then I will come in with another bead of acrylic to build up this now a little bit more. When you are encapsulating nails, it's very important that you're building up the correct strength and structure of the nails, especially when working on long nails, because otherwise they will just snap. So as you can see here, I focused that bead right down at the center of the nail, and you can see already that it built up. Just adding that small amount of acrylic really built up the nail how it needed to be. Off camera, I did exactly the same to the rest of the 3 nails, and then I did do all of the filing and buffing off camera, so we're ready to come in and top coat. Now in today's video, I was using the Wowbao top coat because I couldn't find where I placed my CJP top coat. So we have got a bit of a mix of products going on in this video. If you are working on clients, it is obviously advised that you use all of the same system. So if you're using CJP Acrylic, you use their primer and their dehydrator and their top coat, because the products have all been tested to work together. But because I'm just working on a practice hand, I wasn't too fussed. I do really like the CJP top coat, but I do like this one as well. They both are very similar and give off a sort of hard gel effect, and they give off a really nice clarity as well. So I'm going to apply a thin coat of this to all 4 of the nails. One of the things that I didn't show you guys on camera was that on this nail, I do actually top coat underneath the nail as well. You probably would have seen it in previous videos where I've done glass tip nails, but I would top coat all of the nails and then I'll flip the hand over and just apply a thin layer of top coat underneath the glass tip nail. This is just going to help it keep it crystal clear, especially if you were wearing this set of nails. But it's just a brilliant way to get even more clarity on your glass tip designs. I especially love glass tip glitter fades. I think they look super pretty. So once I've finished applying my top coat, I'm going to pop these in to cure for 60 seconds, and this, guys, is the finished result. I really hope you all enjoyed today's video. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up, as it really helps my channel, and leave me a comment below. I do love checking in with you all and hearing how you are doing. As always, if you have any nail suggestions, do pop them below and I will do my best to give them a go. Hopefully I will see you all again in the next video. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.